We're here today with Gobalive CEO Tony Lacavera to talk about his upcoming plans and really the core understanding, emotional reason about why he started Gobalive Wireless. So Tony, apart from the business reasons that every shareholder wants to earn more money, what is your sole reason for beginning this project?
Ian, thanks for having me. Well, I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. Started a lot of different businesses, mostly in tech and telecom. And obviously, as a big wireless user myself, I've had the experience of being a customer of one of the big three for a long time now, and that really made me passionate about getting into the wireless business myself and seeing where I could potentially make a difference.
Nice.
But obviously, I'm a relatively small business relative to the big three, and I'm sure everyone knows that all the other brands are all owned by the big three. So right. I always just say big three. It
right.
really is only three. Obviously we're just a small business relative to them, so I looked internationally to try to find an international partner that has a lot of experience in wireless. Was successful at doing that, getting a lot of financial backing from the international operator. They're called Orascom Telecom. Yep. Really big in wireless around the world. And of course they've helped me hire a great management team to really get this whole thing organized and get it off the ground, because the big three are the big three. They
Correct.
Really do dominate the market here in Canada, and their brands are obviously well known. Our brand is not very well known, or our Yak brand is a little bit known, but we obviously have a long way to go to really provide a great service to Canadians.
So in regards to being a small business, how many customers do you believe you'll be able to get the first year of business?
Well, we're targeting, over the first 3 years, we're targeting 1.5 million users or subscribers.
Okay.
We really think we have an opportunity to do that because the market in wireless is growing in Canada.
Definitely.
It's an under-penetrated wireless market, so the market is growing. Obviously, the demand, including just myself as a user, using data more and more and more and more.
Right.
Looking to use more and more features and services. So the number of users is growing, but also what those users are doing is growing.
Correct.
And so it's becoming a bigger and bigger part of our lives, and more and more important part of our everyday communications is becoming wireless. So we're going after 1.5 million subscribers in the first 3 years.
Now, is that 1.5 million with the top tier brand you're going to launch, or is that combined the whole Gobalive brand with the two new brands you're launching?
Yeah, well, we have, it's going to be, that's sort of combined effort.
Okay.
But we do think that there is an opportunity for at least 2 more brands in the Canadian market.
Okay.
Because all the other brands are owned by the big three. Definitely. I think Canadians know that. I think a lot of Canadians know that the sub-brands are all owned by the big three. Bell, Rogers, Telus they own those brands and operate them. So I think there's an opportunity to introduce really some new independent brands out there. Focus on customer service. Right. Focus on that customer experience. Where again, you and I both as wireless users, we're living with that experience every day. And I think there's a lot of opportunity to improve it. I think that what I'm most proud of getting in the venture at all is that already I think Canadians are starting to get better services from the big three.
Agreed.
And I think that we've been probably the whole thing I'm most proud of is the fact that we've already had an impact.
Yeah, a subtle impact as well, because you see them changing the system access fees, stuff like that. But I read an article before that you might be introducing some sort of golden rule for Gobalive. Is that correct?
I'm not familiar with that.
You're not All right. I read an article saying that Gobalive might bring out a new golden rule about how to treat their customers.
Oh yeah. So we certainly have talked about how we can make that customer service experience. We've talked about a lot of different ways that we can make that customer service experience and enhance it and modify it so that end to end, what we're doing for customers makes them feel like, first of all, their business is important, which it is. Their business obviously is important to us. We're here as a startup in wireless. Right. Yeah, we have an existing business, but we're a startup in wireless. We haven't provided wireless services before. So in terms of providing a mission statement of what are we going to do to get Canadians confidence that we're going to be reliable,
definitely,
that the service experience is going to be different, and that their business really matters to us.
Right.
Obviously, our company all the way up and down has to be built to deliver on that promise. Or you know what? At the end of the day, we're just going to be like one of the big companies.
Definitely.
And Canadians are quickly going to say, you know what? This is no different than what I had before.
Right.
So we've got to build our company to be sustainably different.
Right. Especially from last week. One of the other representatives from the other new incumbents said, if you look like a new incumbent, if you dress like a new incumbent, you're going to kind of upset the current incumbent or the current telecom companies.
Very much so. And being in the business for the past 10 years, competing with the incumbents, I'm comfortable, you know, that we can make ourselves not like them.
Right.
Our business today is not like theirs, and you know, we have an advantage of speed to market, an advantage of that, of flexibility. But most importantly, our sustainable advantage is that our customer service levels are far superior. Our customer experience is superior, and we got to continue to make that a reality if we're really going to be around long term.
So for people who are with Bell, Rogers, or TELUS, how will you kind of bring them over, apart from rate plans? Any insight on devices that you can potentially share, or possibly will you be paying their transfer fees over there, or how will that work?
Well, look, I think that we need to be recognizing where we are in the marketplace today. We're a startup company today. We've got to earn Canadians' trust and confidence. So I think we're going to be starting with simplicity and then going to more enhancements and more features over the long term.
Okay.
Because the worst thing we can do, Ian, is actually get out in the marketplace and you know, not be as good.
Right.
You know, have quality issues.
Right.
And then, you know, Canadians are going to say, yeah, this is more of the same. So we've got to actually differentiate ourselves right from the start.
Yep.
And the reality is that from a business standpoint, in order to get a return for our investors and our shareholders, we do need to do that. But also, to have a business that's sustainable long term, we need to position ourselves that. You might remember the whole Fido brand, when it first started out, early part of this decade, really 1988, 1989, when it was really well known, 2000, 2001, everyone sort of thought, well, it's not quite good enough for business. I wouldn't really put my business phone on that brand. The network's not quite as good.
Right. So
you might remember that, but that caused them to have to limit their business opportunity long term because the brand got positioned in a certain way. I love the dogs. I love that there's City Fido, but I wouldn't quite trust my business service on that brand. So we got to be really careful and ensure that we position ourselves well for the long term and be able to service the whole market long term.
Right.
Canadians know they can rely on us. Yep. And that takes a long time. There's no quick way to have you or me, just think about ourselves as users.
Right.
You and I, there's no quick way to get us to trust a new provider.
Definitely.
Even though we may have issues with our customer experience, we may have issues with our bill, we may not like the fact that there are surcharges, we may not like all these extra costs. We have all these, but at the end of the day, our phone works. The service that the big three provide today does work. It is reliable, and so we have a hurdle to get over as a new entrant.
Right. With that hurdle comes new opportunity, though. Like, there's certainly a grand opportunity to make a massive impact in regards to, I guess, encouraging new Canadians who don't have a cell phone yet, or even Canadians that do have a cell phone, to really jump on board to someone new and start something fresh.
Yeah, listen, I think so. I think that there's an opportunity for Canadians that don't have phones yet. I think there's an opportunity for Canadians that do have phones, Canadians that want more features and services, or the very, very heavy users as well. I think that there's opportunities for us to participate everywhere in the market.
Yep.
And I think it's just really a question of picking our project plan and our business plan to be achievable for us, to be something that we can deliver on, and that we can deliver consistently on. So obviously the customer experience is something we're very focused on at the early going and over the long term, and making sure that we can deliver on the promises we're making.
And you'll be launching first in Toronto and Vancouver?
Yes, the business plan right now is to launch in Toronto, Vancouver, Calgary, Edmonton, and Ottawa. So those 5 cities.
Right at the start?
No, so that'll be over the course of 2010, basically.
Okay.
And the official launch date we haven't announced yet, but we're talking about back part of 2009 or early 2010.
Would you like to announce an official start date?
No, not yet. We're not in a position to do that. For all the reasons we've just been discussing, is that we've got to make sure we will not launch till the network is working properly.
Correct.
We've got to make sure that we can deliver on the services. That doesn't mean that there's not a sense of urgency.
Right.
That doesn't mean that we don't want to get to market, because we do want to get to market as quickly as possible.
But you want to make sure it's right.
We got to do it right, because we got one shot at it.
Right.
Before Canadians are going to say, oh, just another company like the big three. So, so that's really where we are. We've not acquired frequencies in Quebec.
Well, is that on the forefront? Are you talking to other people about that?
As I've been saying the whole way through, I mean, to me it makes so much sense for the new entrants to work together, to partner with each other. Because when you really think about it, we all have zero market share today.
Right.
None of us, we're all just startup businesses in wireless. So as startup businesses, we need to establish ourselves and work together as new entrants, versus not only having to deal with the big three, not only having to deal with all their sub-brands, but also now we're going to be competing with one another. So now that's just going to be not an effort that makes a lot of sense. Whereas instead of, I really believe there's room for one new network in Canada. not room for 3 or 4 new networks. So we've got to think, as new entrants, I really believe we've got to find ways to work together. And it's not a question of how many brands there are, it's a question of that infrastructure. That's where you get into the $1, $2, $3 billion, millions of dollars to do this infrastructure in a way that's going to deliver next generation services to Canadians.
So if you only believe that there's going to be one place for a new carrier, what's going to happen to the other 2?
Well, I think that there's room for more than one new brand.
Okay.
That's why we're out with 2 brands ourselves. What I'm saying is I think that there's not room for more than building one new set of towers and masts and all the antennas and everything. I think that really new entrants have to find ways to work together, to share investments wherever it makes sense. Now obviously these are different companies, there's different shareholders, and there's obviously a lot of complexity to doing that.
Right.
But I really think there is opportunities to do that. Obviously the devil's always in the details.
Right.
And it's always a question of making it work for everybody.
Correct.
Making it mutually beneficial. But that's what I think we got to work towards.
And for the towers, you just mentioned towers. How is the current tower situation going?
Well, look, you know what? We got into the business not really, knowing that it was going to be a challenge. If I was, one of the executives at one of the big companies today, I wouldn't necessarily be so excited about enabling new competition either. I mean, they have very well-established franchises that they want to protect, and they're running great businesses.
Right.
And they're running them very well. So I personally believe that we have to have our business plan structured in such a way that we don't really have all those dependencies.
Okay.
That's also a challenge. But the short answer to your question is we're working through those issues.
Right.
Do I think there's no quick resolution? It's not going to quickly get fixed. I think it's working at it over a long period of time, working cooperatively wherever it makes mutual sense.
Correct.
Taking advantage of the policy framework that Industry Canada set up, which numerous times I've said I think is fantastic. I mean, it's why companies like Gobalive Wireless exist.
Yep.
But it's going to be a challenge over the long term. It's not going to be an easy road to hoe.
And another challenge I read of is the whole other carrier that speaking about the foreign ownership. But I've read another article that says that you obeyed all the policies and procedures to bring Orascom with you. So any feedback on that?
Well, look, I mean, we were successful getting the licenses. I think Orascom has invested a lot of money already. There is a CRTC review that's going on. The debate is whether that should become a public process or not. Look, I've been a proponent of the rules since we first got into this venture. I think the ownership rules provide a lot of protection for Canadian content and Canadian heritage, and I think they're very important.
Right.
But I also think they can be complied with, and I believe that we're complying with them. I believe that there is opportunity for foreign investors in Canada, and there are ways to comply with these rules without it being so complex. So I really think that again, if I was an incumbent, I'd want to find ways to challenge Gobalive as well.
Right.
But at the end of the day, our structure has been submitted to Industry Canada, and now it's been submitted to the CRTC, and we fully support their ownership and review process. I will say that I think that the CRTC has all the resources they need to make this review happen efficiently, and I know that they will come to the right conclusion.
Yep. Well, it seems certainly an exciting time that you're having. It seems that you will have an impact and have started to have an impact. So we wish you all the luck, Canadian luck, that over the next few months brings you, and we'll certainly keep up our end of the deal. And
yeah, thanks. I mean, I appreciate the opportunity, and definitely we are going to need some luck too. These are big companies.
Nothing the Canadian can't handle.
It's sort of like I remember playing hockey against teams that were far better than my team.
Nice.
And we were, the younger, smaller kids.
It's like the David Goliath.
Yeah, it's like so. I'm always up for the challenge.
Yeah. Well, with your past success, it certainly looks like you'll get to where you need to be and have your dream of Gobalive Wireless achieved, right? So
thanks, Ian.
Just another day, right?
Exactly. We're at it.
Cool. Well, thank you so much.
Thanks very much.